You walk into the dealership for what you think is a simple fix. Maybe your check engine light is on. Maybe your brakes feel a little soft. You're expecting a couple $100, maybe $300 at most. And then the service advisor hands you the estimate, $1,200. You stare at it. You ask what's actually broken. They explain it in technical terms you don't fully understand. They mention labor hours, diagnostic fees, OEM parts, and you feel trapped because you don't know if they're being honest or if you're being taken advantage of. So you say yes. You pay the $1,200, and 2 weeks later, you're talking to a friend who had the same issue fixed for $200 at an independent shop. Or better yet, they did it themselves in their driveway in 30 minutes. This happens every single day to normal people who just want their car to run safely. And the frustrating part is that most of the time, the repair itself isn't complicated. It's not some advanced mechanical surgery that requires a certified technician and specialized equipment. It's something simple, something you could have done yourself with basic tools and a decent tutorial. But you didn't know that, and the dealership wasn't going to tell you. I'm not here to bash dealerships. They have their place for warranty work, for recalls, for complex diagnostics on brand new vehicles with integrated computer systems. Dealerships can be the right choice. But for everyday repairs, the kind of maintenance and fixes that keep your car running year after year, dealerships are often the most expensive option. Not because the work is more difficult, but because their business model is built around high labor rates, flat-rate billing systems, and charging for things that take them 10 minutes but get billed as an hour. Let's talk about why that $1,200 estimate exists in the first place. Dealerships have overhead. They've got expensive buildings, fancy waiting rooms, franchise fees, certified technicians who deserve to be paid well, and all of that gets built into what they charge you. On top of that, most dealerships use something called flat-rate billing. That means if a job is listed in their system as taking 2 hours, they charge you for 2 hours of labor, even if their experienced technician finishes it in 45 minutes. And labor rates at dealerships often run between $100 and $200 per hour, depending on where you live. So when you bring your car in for something like a battery replacement, here's what happens. The actual work takes maybe 15 minutes. Pop the hood, disconnect the old battery, connect the new one, done. But the flat-rate manual says it's a half-hour job, so they charge you for half an hour at $150 an hour. That's $75 in labor. Then they sell you the battery at full retail price, maybe $120, when you could get the same battery at an auto parts store for $80. So you're paying close to $200 for a 15-minute job that you could have done yourself for $80 and a 10-minute YouTube video. And that's one of the simplest examples. Let's talk about air filters. Your car has 2 of them, the engine air filter and the cabin air filter. Replacing either one is something most people can do without any tools at all. The cabin air filter is usually behind your glove box. You pop the glove box open, pull out the old filter, slide in the new one. Takes 5 minutes. The filter itself costs $15 to $30 at any auto parts store. At the dealership, they'll charge you $60 to $100 for 5 minutes of work because it's listed as a service item and they bill it accordingly. Spark plugs are another one. Now, I'm not saying everyone should change their own spark plugs. Some engines make it easy, some make it a nightmare. But on a basic 4-cylinder engine where the plugs are right on top and accessible, it's not a complicated job. You need a socket wrench, a spark plug socket, and maybe a gap tool. The plugs themselves cost anywhere from $5 to $15 each, depending on the type. So for a 4-cylinder, you're looking at maybe $60 in parts. At a dealership, that same job can run you $300 to $500 because they're charging you for an hour or 2 of labor at their rates. And yes, it takes time to do it carefully, but if you've got an afternoon and you follow a clear tutorial for your specific car, it's absolutely doable. Brake pads are where people get nervous, and I understand why. Brakes are safety critical. You don't want to mess them up. But here's the thing. Replacing front brake pads on most cars is a straightforward job. I'm not talking about rotors. I'm not talking about lines or calipers or anything hydraulic. I'm talking about pads, the friction material that wears down over time. On a lot of vehicles, it's a matter of removing the wheel, removing 2 bolts, sliding out the old pads, compressing the caliper piston, and sliding in the new ones. It takes about an hour if you've never done it before. maybe 30 minutes once you've done it once. A set of quality brake pads costs $50 to $100. At the dealership, you're looking at $300 to $500 for the same job because labor is expensive, and they're not wrong to charge what they charge, but you're not wrong to ask if you really need to pay it. Sensors are another area where DIY makes sense. Check engine lights are often triggered by something like an oxygen sensor or a mass airflow sensor. These are usually plug-and-play parts. You unplug the old one, unscrew it, screw in the new one, plug it back in. That's it. The part might cost $60 to $150, depending on what it is. The dealership will charge you $200 to $400 because they're adding diagnostic time and labor. And again, diagnostics have value. If you don't know what's wrong, paying someone to figure it out makes sense. But if you've already pulled the code with a $20 OBD2 scanner from any auto parts store, and the code tells you exactly which sensor is failing, you don't need to pay someone else $150 to tell you the same thing. Now let's be very clear about something. DIY does not mean winging it. It does not mean skipping steps or ignoring safety. It does not mean attempting things you're not comfortable with just to save money. DIY means educating yourself. It means watching multiple tutorials for your specific make and model. It means using the right tools. It means working in a safe environment, with the car properly supported if you're going under it. It means knowing when to stop and call a professional.
Now let's be very clear about something. DIY does not mean winging it. It does not mean skipping steps or ignoring safety. It does not mean attempting things you're not comfortable with just to save money. DIY means educating yourself. It means watching multiple tutorials for your specific make and model. It means using the right tools. It means working in a safe environment with the car properly supported if you're going under it. It means knowing when to stop and call a professional. There are repairs you should not attempt yourself unless you have experience. Anything involving the engine internals, timing belts on interference engines where one mistake can destroy the motor, transmission work, airbag systems, fuel system repairs, advanced electrical diagnostics. These are not beginner jobs. These are not things you try because you watched a video. If you're not confident, if the job requires specialized tools you don't have, if it involves safety systems, take it to a professional. That's not being weak, that's being smart. But the repairs I'm talking about, the ones that dealerships charge hundreds of dollars for, are not in that category. Changing a battery does not require specialized knowledge. Replacing an air filter does not put you or anyone else at risk. Swapping out spark plugs on an accessible engine is not dangerous if you follow basic instructions. These are maintenance items. They're designed to be replaceable. And the only reason most people don't do them is because they've been told cars are too complicated, that you need to be a mechanic, that if you touch anything under the hood, you'll break something. And that's just not true. Cars are machines. They're built with serviceability in mind. Manufacturers know that parts wear out. They designed them to be accessible for exactly that reason. You don't need an engineering degree. You need a willingness to learn and the patience to do it carefully. Let's talk real numbers. Let's say you own your car for 10 years. Over that time, you're going to replace the battery at least once, maybe twice. You're going to change the cabin air filter and engine air filter multiple times. You're going to replace spark plugs. You're going to do at least 1 or 2 brake jobs. You're going to replace a sensor or 2. If you take all of that to the dealership, you're easily spending $4,000 to $6,000 on labor alone. If you do those same jobs yourself, you're spending maybe $800 to $1,000 on parts and basic tools. That's a savings of $3,000 to $5,000 over the life of the vehicle, and that's being conservative. The tools you buy don't disappear after one use. A socket set costs $40 and lasts a lifetime. A jack and jack stands cost $100, and you use them over and over. A torque wrench costs $50 and ensures you're tightening bolts correctly every time. These aren't expenses, they're investments, and they pay for themselves the first time you use them. But the real value isn't just financial, it's knowledge, it's confidence, it's understanding how your car works so that when something does go wrong, you're not completely dependent on someone else to tell you what's happening. You can make informed decisions. You can tell the difference between a necessary repair and an upsell. You can have a conversation with a mechanic as someone who understands the basics, not as someone who has to take their word for everything. And that changes the entire experience of car ownership. Instead of feeling anxious every time a warning light comes on, you feel capable. You pull the code, you research it, you figure out if it's something you can handle or something that needs a professional, and either way, you're in control. You're not being led, you're deciding. There's also something to be said for prevention. When you're under the hood changing your own oil or replacing your own air filter, you're seeing your car. You're noticing things. A hose that's starting to crack, a belt that's looking worn, a fluid leak that just started. You catch these things early when they're cheap and easy to fix. If you only see your car when something breaks and you take it to the shop, you miss all of that. And small problems become big, expensive problems. I've seen people avoid the mechanic for months because they're worried about cost. They hear a noise, they feel something off, but they don't want to get hit with a huge bill, so they ignore it. And ignoring it makes it worse. But if you know how to do basic diagnostics yourself, if you know how to check your brake pads or your fluid levels or your tire pressure, you stop avoiding the problem. You address it early, and early is always cheaper.
None of this is about being cheap. It's about being smart. It's about taking responsibility for something you own and use every day. Your car is probably the second most expensive thing you own after your house. And yet most people know more about their phone than they do about their car. They'll spend hours researching which phone to buy, but won't spend 20 minutes learning how to check their oil. And I'm not judging that. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to become a mechanic. You don't have to rebuild engines in your garage. But learning how to do the basic stuff, the things that wear out and need regular replacement, that's not asking too much. And it saves you a massive amount of money. Money that you can spend on things that actually matter to you instead of handing it over for 15 minutes of work that you could have done yourself. If you've ever been hit with a dealership bill that felt wrong, if you've ever walked out of a service center feeling like you just got taken advantage of, you're not alone. It happens constantly. And the solution isn't to distrust all mechanics or all dealerships. The solution is to educate yourself enough that you know when you're being given a fair price and when you're being overcharged. And the only way to do that is to understand what the work actually involves. So, here's my challenge to you. Next time your car needs something simple, before you call the dealership, do 5 minutes of research. Look up what the job involves, see what other people are paying for it, see if it's something you could do. And if it's not, if it's beyond your skill level or comfort zone, that's fine. Take it to a trusted independent mechanic or even the dealership if that's your preference, but at least you'll know what you're paying for. At least you'll be making an informed decision instead of just saying yes because you don't know any better. Fixing small things yourself isn't just about saving money. It's about not being afraid of your own car. It's about building competence. It's about taking control of something that affects your daily life. And once you do it once you successfully replace a part or fix a problem on your own, it changes how you see the whole process. It's not magic, it's not beyond you, it's just a thing you didn't know how to do yet, and now you do. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been quoted something outrageous at a dealership for a repair that turned out to be simple? Have you tried doing your own maintenance, and how did it go? What's holding you back from trying if you haven't yet? Let me know. And if you found this helpful, if you want more practical advice on how to save money and take care of your car without getting ripped off, go ahead and subscribe. I'm here to make car ownership less stressful and less expensive, one repair at a time.